we're looking at the past 4 hours, and the 4 hours, I mean, you see, look, in the past 1 hour, it's $507 million of liquidations for Bitcoin. You go to the past 4 hours, and it's 513 million. So in the prior 3 hours before this liquidation event, you've only seen about $5 million of liquidations. And then boom, in 1 hour, $500 million of liquidations. I find that to be absolutely crazy. And now I'm going to check Twitter to see if we've got any breaking news that's causing this to take place. I don't think so. I think it's just the beginning of the bear market. That's what it is. And it's quite sad that that is the case. I'm trying not to think about it so much because I personally had a lot of good hopes and high hopes for Bitcoin. But sadly, it's just not happening, you know? It is what it is. And I had a lot of high hopes for altcoins. That's also not happening. That's delayed. And it's quite sad because we've been doing this for the past 4 years straight. And I just wanted something similar to the prior bull market. I think you guys wanted something similar to the prior bull market too. There's no breaking news. I checked the breaking news, no breaking news. And it's very depressing. I started making these videos back in 2021, post-halving year, and I can show you some of those very early videos. Actually, from a cycle timing perspective, it is the exact same time as where the price of Bitcoin is right now in just the next cycle. So this is my first video I've ever made on the channel. Bitcoin was trading at $47,000, and it was when we were breaking down from the prior all-time highs in 2021, and you were basically going into this consolidation period where then eventually you tested the 200 daily moving average, created a bear flag, and then ended up continuing lower downwards. And in this first ever video I made almost 4 years ago now, December 14th, 2021, I was explaining how we are creating that bear flag and how we also have like a left head, right shoulder, head and shoulders pattern where we're going to come down lower. And that was literally exactly the same point in the prior cycle as we are in currently. There's just like a month difference. And it's really sad. And you can see that the prior Bitcoin cycles and this current cycle is playing exceptionally well in the sense of how many days it has taken from going from top to bottom, 1,034 days from the 2017 cycle to reach the top, then 1,034 days again from 2019 bottom to reach the 2021 top, and then 1,034 days once more in the 2022 bottom, now to the 2025 top. The cycles are playing exactly as they should be playing. You can check the Bitcoin cycle comparison. And this is the phase where we slowly descend to the downside, even when you include the Genesis cycle, right? But if you take it out, then this is a more accurate picture. It's quite sad. It's quite depressing. We can check the ETF flows because they should be in already. Let's check the ETF flows, ETF flows, ETF flows. ETF flows, Bitcoin. Let's see what it's doing. Whoa! Woo-hoo-hoo! $900 million outflowed from the ETFs. $900 million. 900 million. This is huge. I'm just posting this on Twitter. This is absolutely huge in a very, very bad way. 900 million outflow from Bitcoin ETFs. Unbelievable. I think this is one of the largest. I think this is the second largest outflow, if I'm not mistaken, from the Bitcoin ETFs. It means that, you know, the institutions who are the retail, just from the more, it's the more older retail investors, right? You're looking at Gen X and the millennials. They're quite scared, and they are selling. They're selling 80% of these ETFs are those institutional, we call them, but actually they're 80% retail. It's just the older money, I'm checking the chat right now. People are saying we've not made a lower low yet. I get that we've not made a lower low yet, and I understand that in prior cycles, Bitcoin comes down 40% from top to bottom, and it's fine. So far, we're down like 35% top to bottom. But the thing is, I don't think you can compare that to what's happened here. You know, in 2017, you were going absolutely parabolic. You were going from like $400 to $20,000. So yes, after you've appreciated, let's say 463%, it's normal to have a 40% correction there. So look, Bitcoin goes up. Let's go from this low. You go up by 230%. After going up by 230%, yeah, you get like a 40% correction. And then it repeats from this low to that high. You go up another 164%. And then, yeah, from that point to down, you get a 40% correction. Like here, it makes sense. But when you look at this chart and you compare it to 2017, it's just a completely different story. You can't compare these two things. It doesn't make sense to compare these two things because the price action is not the same. The sad truth lies on the following charts. You've broken down from very critical support, from a linear ascending basis. You've broken down from very important descending support. And we've covered all of these on the weekend. We said how bad all of this is. Then you look into the RSI. Usually in all of those capitulations, Bitcoin bottoms out at the 44 point on the RSI. You bottom out at 44, 43. You've completely broken below that. That's a complete break of structure. Then you look at the Bollinger Bands. The Bollinger Bands broke the lower Bollinger Band last week. We mentioned that that's going to indicate intermediate term price to correct to the mid 70s, the low 70s. Then you look at the EMA ribbons. You've broken the EMA ribbons on the weekly time frame. You've never done that in the prior capitulation events. You just haven't. And then you go to the bull and bear market support band, 54 simple moving average. They're broken down also. And every time you break below this blue line, it is the indicator that the bear market is coming. It's just, we've seen all of the warning signs. We've seen all of them. And now over on if you go to the MACD on the monthly time frame, that's basically confirmed a MACD bearish crossover. Last time that happened was exactly where we were relatively 4 years ago in the prior bull market. You got the MACD crossover and prices went much lower. So there isn't anything at the moment to make the case that, okay, this is a time to be switching long again. There is nothing to point that out, sadly. And that is the sad truth. So if you want to be shorting, if you want to be opening positions, though, you can go to the first link in the description down below 2 weeks to get a very, very cool bonus. That's where I've been trading over the past 12 months, 12, 11 months. You can also go to Pinex to try out their trading bots, right? With this specific week's link, if you click this link, then you're going to be able to get free $10 to $100 bonus. So you click the first link, it takes you to the Crypto Kids welcome bonus page, where if you deposit $100, you'll get a $50 bonus. So there's very cool things you can do here. Number one, if you just link your phone number and email address to your account, you'll get a 10 to 100 coupon, okay? And this you can use in your futures trading, and the profits you make will be yours. Then, if you deposit $100, you'll get a $50 bonus if you complete a $10,000 trading volume, which can be completed in one single trade. It's very, very easy. And this extends all the way to up to an $800 futures bonus. If you deposit 10K into your account, get a $5 million trading volume, you'll get 800 USDT. And there's so many other cool things, etc., etc. So if you want to check out this bonus, then you can go to the first link in the description, 2 weeks. If you want to trade on Bybit is linked down below. Also, Pinex, Coinflare, they are the exchanges that I'm currently trading on. But you can't make the case. You just simply can't make the bullish case. It's not doable. You can't make a bull case for Bitcoin. You can't do it. It's just you can't do it. All right. So we can't make a bull case for Bitcoin. We just need to see the rebound into the 200 daily moving average. And I think that's going to take place over the next 30-ish days. And when I do see that retest to the 300 daily moving average, I'm going to call that to be a bull trap. That's not going to be meaning that Bitcoin now continues to new all-time highs. No, it's going to be very likely a retest that's going to lead to lower price levels. So if you want to look into a good potential shorts, that would be the level I'm personally looking at to enter into short positions if you are not short already, of course. I know people are saying, okay, but what about the fear and greed index? We're at extreme fear. Doesn't that mean we're going to get a bounce? Well, usually yes, but the sad thing is when you're doing that transition from bull into bear market, you can be in periods of consistent fear. Like this is the highs, right? So highs in November of 2021, you're at greed, and then it capitulates and you chill at like the 10 levels, etc. for such a long time. This is when you rebound to the 200 daily moving average. People get bullish again, and then nope, that's a bull trap. Prices collapse after hitting the 200 daily moving average. I think that's likely what would happen for Bitcoin. And I think that will happen over the next month before the end of the year, or maybe going into just the beginning of next year. That's what I would say. My stomach hurts, time to load up. Well, the thing is, right, when you don't want to buy, right, when you don't want to buy, usually that is a good time to buy, right? When you don't feel like buying at all, usually that is the time to buy. And when you go to the price chart, when you go into the price action, you don't want to buy it. Like, I don't want to buy any of this. You don't want to buy into it. And just because I feel that way, I'm sort of forcing myself to DCA in, no matter how painful it is. But I need to tell you, I don't think the pain has stopped. I think in the intermediate term, the pain will continue. Maybe in the short term, yeah, we get that bounce eventually to the 200 daily moving average. But I need to tell you, in the intermediate term, meaning the next 6 months, I don't see pain going away so fast like it did when we came down to these levels back in the tariff situation, like here in the Japanese yen carry trade. It's not a similar event. I need to make that clear to you. And I think pain in altcoins will last some time more than how much it's lasted so far. Look at this. Solana, for example, if you're looking for good buys, I think Solana is very interesting. We called Solana to reach the $115 to $125 area. As soon as we broke this daily line of support, we showed and we talked about why I'm quite bearish on Solana. And we've come down to it in this huge 1 hourly candle. So we came down to the $120 mark. So we hit the first target sort of in our downwards targets. And if you are looking to buy something long term, then I would be considering Solana. And of course, if you want to support the channel, you can buy crypto for the first time using credit card or bank over on Bybit. And the Bybit link is in the description right over here. If you want to do derivatives trading, Pinex, Weeks, Coinflare, also all linked in the description down below. This guy panicking is such a good indicator, says Dan. I am not panicking. If you go to the channel, we've been calling for bearish price action for quite some time, right? For quite some time. We've been calling for bearish price action for a long, long time. So this is not me panicking. This is bringing breaking news to you right over here. For the past 2.5, 3 weeks, we've been saying that Bitcoin is not going to be doing well. And that's basically when things started breaking loose. I was getting quite bearish from this point, and now since that point, we reached 25% negative. So it's not me being panicky, it's me showing you what's happening, and what is happening is not good. And that is the truth, and nobody can deny that, sadly. Krypton Boy, shout out to Krypton Boy for tuning in. He's a legend. He watches every single Moon show. Crypto YouTubers are not flip-floppers. Every single day, prices move differently. New things happen. You get new data. For example, yesterday we got 119,000 jobs being added. That was completely unexpected. So crypto YouTubers are not flip-floppers. I also want to clarify that. There's a reason why we post daily content, sometimes even 2 videos a day, because things change. You are here as analysts and traders to break down the latest news. So when things change, then sometimes your analysis can change. Like let's say, you know, as if Bitcoin was to hold the lower Bollinger Band on the weekly time frame, then I would still be bullish. But then it breaks down from the Bollinger Band and then you start becoming bearish. Like that's not called flip-flopping, that's called trading. And if you can't handle that, and not everybody can, and that's absolutely fine, it will take some practice. It will take some time to get used to the markets and time to get used to how things change sometimes overnight. And we're here to break down the latest news for you. My face is on the thumbnails are funny. Yeah, thanks, dude. Okay, Dan says technical analysis is only useful when it agrees with fundamentals. I disagree with that. I personally disagree with that because everything fundamentally here, I mean, everything fundamentally now is bullish, right? Everything fundamentally right now, if you think about it, is bullish. You have what? The president bullish on Bitcoin. You have pro-crypto legislation. The war on crypto in America has ended. Institutions are accepting, in you know, JP Morgan, you can borrow money by using Bitcoin and Ethereum as collateral, not ETF, like spot Bitcoin and Ethereum as collateral. You look at, you know, ETFs, we have a BlackRock ETF, we have a Fidelity ETF. You have people like Ray Dalio buying Bitcoin. You have institutions buying Bitcoin. You have companies buying Bitcoin more so than ever before. You have countries buying Bitcoin. So when you look at it from a fundamental perspective, this dump doesn't make sense. But if you looked at the technicals, you had a double top. You had the break of the 50 simple moving average, the break of the lower Bollinger Band. You have the 4-year cycles. So all of these things are technical. And at the tops, it's never going to appear as though it's bullish. It's bearish, right? Here you had extreme fear. Here you had, extreme greed. Here you also had extreme greed. So at the tops, it's never going to feel like the top. Everything will feel amazing. The fundamentals will always be amazing. But the technicals will say something different. And the candles, they always price in fundamental news as soon as it comes in. So technical analysis is always more important than fundamental analysis because you can actually measure all of these events by conducting technical analysis. I don't think if strategy gets excluded from the S&P 500, Bitcoin will drop. I don't think it will matter so much, no. The stock market is crashing, but obviously the stock market has been going, I think it's been doing better than Bitcoin, technically. Look, you go to the S&P, and the S&P is still not at the lows it created in April of 2025. So when you look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin is already here relative to the S&P. This is when Trump introduced the tariffs. Here, Bitcoin was at $74,000. So we're basically like here for Bitcoin. So there's this huge gap between the S&P and Bitcoin. So comparatively to Bitcoin, we're doing quite well, I would say, for the S&P. Nikhil, I'm good, man. Thank you so much. I'm trying to be good. Does anyone know what the EMA ribbon that CryptoKid uses? Well, I can show you, my friend. So if you go to indicators and search EMA ribbon, it is this one, EMA ribbon by Crypt. That is the one. You've landed on the checking Twitter. Checking your comments also. Yeah, Da Vinci was quite bearish, wasn't he? I did sell some of my spot Bitcoin. I sold some of my spot Bitcoin, but I'm still at 50% of my net worth in Bitcoin, which is quite a bit, you know. Look at this. Past 1 year, down 10%. Year to date, down 9.6%. 6 months, down 21%. 3 months, down 27%. 1 month, down 21%. 1 week, down 15%. That's quite painful. But it's quite interesting. So Bitcoin is dropping this much, right? If you go to the past 1 hour, we covered this at the beginning of the show. You have like $508 million of liquidations. In the past 24 hours, you have about $1 billion in liquidations from Bitcoin. In the crazy crash that happened after Trump tweeted the tariffs, you had like 19 billion. So 19 times more positions were liquidated when Trump did that whole tariff thing. So it's nuts when you put it into perspective. Carl says, smash the like button, guys. Make sure to smash the like button. Thank you all so much for tuning in this early in the morning. Very, very much appreciated. People are saying, is Binance behind all of this? No, Binance is not behind all of this. It's not Binance. Every time we crash, people are like, oh, okay, Binance must have done this. No, it's not Binance. Binance is not some mafia that's out there to cause market crashes. That's not how things work. But you know what I think is behind this crash? Do you know what I personally believe is behind this crash? I think it's Jim Cramer. I think it's Jim Cramer because right over here, and we covered it on the CryptoKit channel, right around here. All right, so today is what? Today is Friday. On this candle right here, around that candle, Jim Cramer said, "I like Bitcoin." He said the words, "I like Bitcoin," and that the cabal, right? Cabal was trying to hold it over $90,000. What happened then? Bitcoin is down. From that point, it's down. It went down like 10%. So I think if you're going to blame someone, then I think Jim Cramer is a better person to blame than Binance. Where is the floor? Well, the floor is going to be, I think, the low 70s. It's going to be this line right here. And at that line, a lot of my long positions that I opened in April this year, a lot of them have average entries there. So, you know, I'm probably going to end up having to add more to those positions just to get a good entry in sort of the 77 to 74K range. And if you want to do the same, then you can go to the first link in the description of today's live stream and get a wonderful bonus with Weeks. We covered it a few minutes before, but just to remind everybody that's just tuning in, with this Weeks link, you can get essentially almost free money when you sign up with that link. Bind your phone number and email address to your account. So this is the campaign page you'll go to. The first step will be to press the sign up button. You can create an account in less than a minute with your email address and password. Then you click this link button to link your phone number to your account. And then after like 48 hours, you'll be eligible to get a coupon between $10 to $100. Then if you deposit $100 to your account for 3 consecutive days, maintain minimum $100, and have a trading volume of at least $10,000, which you can track it, and it's very easy to achieve. You can even achieve it in one single trade. You'll be able to claim 50 USDT in futures bonus that you can use in your trading, and all the profits you make will be yours to withdraw. You have so many more cool bonuses. Pinex also has very cool bonuses. If you want to buy the dip with fiat, then Bybit allows you to do that. So the link down below to Bybit is also in the description. And yeah, this is just a waiting game. I think the bounce to the 200 daily moving average is going to take place at some point because we've done that in every single prior cycle and we've broken down why that's the case in videos before. So I don't think there's need to really go into that in so much detail. But I'm a firm believer that Bitcoin will bounce in the next month and a half to month to that moving average, trap everyone, make everybody feel like we're going to all-time highs again. And that from that point onwards, I'm going to start shorting aggressively. That's what I think will happen to Bitcoin. For Ethereum, I think altcoins are going to suffer until like 4 months after quantitative easing. That's going into about September, October of next year. And it's a completely different picture than what I originally anticipated alongside many other people like Raoul Pal and even Benjamin Cohen, for the matter of fact. He expected something completely different on Ethereum. It is what it is. Sometimes you don't get it right. But for Bitcoin, we've been pretty accurate. If you remember from the moon shows like 2-3 years ago, I've always been saying that 95K to 110K, that's going to be around where Bitcoin tops out at. And that's what ended up happening. And we did a bet with Carl. We bet $25,000 each. He said that Bitcoin will go to $300,000 and above. I said we won't be able to go to $300,000, and I won the bet. And we're going to do a very nice donation very soon. Let's see what charity, but probably somewhere in Turkey. But yeah, it is what it is. You just need to get it right more times than you get it wrong, and that's how you become a profitable trader. So over on Ethereum, we have bounced to, we have come down to the level that we said we'll likely see a bounce from because it's been historically a very good line. I think we will get some sort of a bounce from this level in the short term. But then when you go into the next 6 months to the next 7-8 months, then for us to go into brand new all-time highs, I mean, it's probably going to take that amount of time before we can see something as such. And it's quite sad that that's the case. Do you think that the Bitcoin price is politically influenced? Do you think Bitcoin can break 200K under the Trump regime? Is Bitcoin politically influenced? Well, I mean, yes, you can influence it via regulation, and then there can be insider traders that end up buying or selling. But the only thing that you can do that would have a very significant impact on the price of Bitcoin from a political perspective would be to establish a Bitcoin strategic reserve where the government is buying a huge chunk of Bitcoin in one go. Now, sadly, that can't happen, or well, it can happen, but they won't do it. Instead, they're seizing people's assets to add those Bitcoin to their own treasury. So instead of buying it actively from the market, what they're doing is they're going to they're going to companies or individuals who they think were doing illicit transactions, or illicit activity, whether they were doing it or not. They take their Bitcoin, they seize it, and now it becomes theirs. But the good thing is Trump signed an executive order to say, hey, at least we're not going to be selling this Bitcoin. So at least they won't sell the Bitcoin they own, and they own a bunch of Bitcoin already. But to directly influence the price of Bitcoin in a very significant way from a political perspective, you would have to establish a direct buying Bitcoin strategic reserve, not a asset seizures based Bitcoin strategic reserve. So I hope that answers your question. Altcoin season, you will have to wait for quantitative easing, and a few months after quantitative easing, it's just how it is. Like without liquidity, you can't go up, and currently there is no liquidity. Thankfully, quantitative tightening will be ending 1st of December, so at least the Fed will stop selling their assets, which is a good start. You have the FOMC happening in 19 days' time. You got the unemployment rate from September. It went up 10 basis points from 4.3 to 4.4%. They added 119,000 jobs, which were a lot higher than what people expected. So those things were good, but for some reason, you go to the CME group, you go to the FedWatch tool, and the probabilities of us seeing a rate cut, even though the given unemployment rate, that has gone down in probability. So we had a much higher probability that they cut by another 25 basis points, but currently that has dropped in probability, and them not cutting rates is at a higher probability. We streamed the prior FOMCs. We went into all things that goes into, okay, what did Fed Chair Powell say over the past few months? We've streamed like every single conference that Fed Chair Powell spoke at, and the most recent one, he mentioned that we may not even cut rates in December. If they don't do that, then that's just not giving us liquidity, and if there's no liquidity, then altcoins simply cannot go to the upside. Do we have any other immediate CME gaps? Says T from Web3, who's also a legend for watching the moon shows. I see him every single time. That's a very good question. Do we have any other immediate CME gaps? Well, to my knowledge, there are no other immediate CME gaps, but there is a CME gap around. So there's no CME gaps all the way here. That CME gap got closed over there. No CME gap, no CME gap. Yeah, okay, so there is a CME gap. There's one CME gap at 20K, and then there is another CME gap at like 9K. And the probabilities of Bitcoin coming down to 20K are very low. So, I mean, like, there's probably a 1% chance that it does that. So I wouldn't be concentrating. Thankfully, there's no immediate CME gaps. The most recent one is at like 20K, but I wouldn't be worrying about that too much. Actually, I'm going to make a tweet because I'm known on Twitter as the crypto CME gap kid. Like, it's all I tweet about these days. And I'm going to see people's reaction to when I tweet that. So what is it? It's at 2300. 2300. Let's see. CME gap. But this is satire. This is just for fun. 2300. The chat is so funny. I think Sailor is buying Bitcoin with two hands as we speak. The interesting thing is we're almost at Sailor's buy-in price. We're almost at the same price that Sailor went ahead and bought Bitcoin with on average. So if you go to sailortracker.com, you're going to notice that on sailortracker.com, Sailor's average entry into Bitcoin is $74,000. So very soon we're going to hit Sailor's average entry price. I mean, we've come down below it, right? So in the prior bull market, you can see that when we entered into from bull into bear, we saw that Bitcoin was floating around Sailor's average entry price for a very elongated amount of time. Like for a good 1.5 to 2 years, you were below Sailor's average entry price. But you can also notice that he does like one big buy before you go into that. You test the 200 daily moving average. There's a bull trap. He was able to buy in because the MSTR price would have also seen a bit of an increase. And then you go into the bear market and all of his buys and like at the bear market lows are very small because obviously all of the shares are dumping. But then he's able to go in and buy again near the average entry price. Let's say I think a similar situation could happen. If we fall below 74K, it doesn't mean that Sailor will go liquidated. That's not what it means. But currently, I mean, over the past sort of, 4 years, I mean, 5 years of buying Bitcoin, he's only up 12%. So as a person like myself or you, when Bitcoin goes down to 74, like when you buy Bitcoin at 74, it's pretty cool because you can say, hey, I bought at the same price as Sailor did, because that would be his average entry on all of his Bitcoin buys combined. How does someone like Tom Lee get it so wrong? Well, people are people, we're all humans. Nobody's perfect, whether you're Sailor or Tom Lee. Nobody's like, you know, I mean, social media glamorizes people so much, but we're all the same. I mean, some people just read more and they have more information and they've met more people and they've traveled more and they have bigger ideas, but we're all the same fundamentally. There's no need to glamourify people more than what they are. And that's what the social media does. Am I stressed by this dump? I am secretively stressed by this dump. So internally, I'm not so happy about it. Like I'm trying not to think about it so much. I'm trying to laugh it off. That's what I'm trying to do. But if I was to obsess over it and overthink, yeah, it would stress me. But right now, I'm just trying to not focus on it so much. I know it, we're streaming and everything, but mentally, from a mental perspective, I'm just trying to avoid it, avoid thinking that we're crashing and that there's a good chance we're going to crash more. That's the strategy I'm implementing. And slowly in this bear market, because I think we could continue in a bearish way for like 11, 10 months. In that 10-month period, I'll probably pick up some acting. I'll probably do some acting workshops and try to do some stuff that I love on the side to not let crypto's bearishness get to me. And it's important that you find something that you love, that you do alongside crypto, because crypto is very volatile. And if all you do is crypto, then your emotions will also be very volatile. So it's quite important to do stuff on the side that get you happy, make you happy, to balance off the times where it's like a hedge position, to balance off the times where crypto is not so bullish. Do you think institutions are launching ETFs for a bear market? They do not lose. Remember that, be positive. It's I don't think institutions will be launching ETFs designed for a bear market. I don't think that's true. Euphoria dampened every time manipulation brought down the price. Yeah, I guess so. I bought 3,000 worth of Bitcoin at today's price. Well, wait, guys, I think Roland Oliveras bought 3,000 Bitcoins. Is that true? Roland, can you clarify if you bought 3,000 Bitcoin? Krypton Boy is a comic book maker. Amazing. That's amazing. That's super fun. Plot twist, we were never in a bull market for crypto, says Jake. And actually, that's not a crazy thesis if you consider the business cycles. And if you measure, so there's two sets of people now in crypto Twitter. There's the people that measure the price of Bitcoin in terms of the 4-year halving cycles. And then there are the people that measure Bitcoin with the business cycles. Business cycles are measured by the economy, they're measured by liquidity. And one of the most important measures of the business cycle is the ISM. And when you look at the ISM, which is the manufacturing data, I mean, it covers the sort of the stocks, the amount of stock there is of goods, manufacturing jobs, things like that. All right. So ISM manufacturing data, that is looking at the healthiness of an economy. And if that's below 50, that means there's a contraction in the economy. If it's over 50, that means there's an expansion. We've been below 50 for a very long time. And us being below 50 means that from a liquidity and an economical standpoint, we're technically not in a bull market. And for that to change, you do historically need an injection of liquidity. And that would happen in quantitative easing, which is still a few months away. Then after QE, it takes roughly about 4 to 6 months for liquidity. If it's aggressive QE, then it takes 4 to 6 months. If it's less aggressive, it can take between 6 to 12 months for that liquidity to then flow into risk on assets. Have you read somebody said, have you read much about Epstein funding Bitcoin Core? No. I mean, on Twitter, I saw people like making jokes that the final capitulation would be if Epstein was Satoshi, but I thought that was a joke. I've not seen that. No. Yeah, people that are not overly exposed into Bitcoin, obviously they like this crash because then they get an opportunity to DC in at cheaper prices. Vanilla Funk says, "Who is your favorite actor?" My favorite actor, I mean, I'm a big fan of George Clooney. I'm a big fan of Leonardo DiCaprio's acting. Um, George Clooney, I mean, Tom Cruise, I'm a big fan, but he's just, he's strictly action. So there isn't too much of a diversification in his abilities for acting. I mean, as of now, we've not seen many intense movies or sort of more dramatic drama movies that he's done, or I mean, it's mostly action. Yeah, so I would say George Clooney and Leonardo DiCaprio. Do I play chess? I know Chris plays a lot of chess, but I don't play a lot of chess. I used to, but I don't anymore. Arnold, yes, Arnold is cool too. And Arnold is very cool. I mean, watch his documentary on Netflix. It's very awesome. Carl loves it as well. Like he's somebody that nobody was able to box, you know? He was someone that he was able to become a governor. Then he became a bodybuilder, an amazing bodybuilder first. He became the best at it. Then he became one of the best actors of all time. Then he conquered politics. Like, I love people that were not able to get boxed into one particular thing. They were able to adapt and do different things and excel at them. Those type of people I admire in general, and Arnold was one of those great people. Gunleaf says, CK, skip the Rari and buy a Porsche. Ferrari's build quality sucks. Well, at this point, I'm not so motivated to buy a Ferrari, dude. I want to, but it just hurts more. So I don't know. Maybe we wait for QE. How come you have a perfect American accent? Says Emil. Well, I actually grew up. I went to British schools my entire life, and I had a very strong Cockney British accent, which wasn't the best, I think, for presenting. Like if I had a posh royal, like sort of a Windsor British accent, then maybe it would have been cool, like a Raoul Pal accent. I think Raoul Pal's accent is pretty cool, or a guy from Coin Bureau. But that just wasn't it. So what I did was I was like, okay, if I'm going to be in front of screens a lot, and if I'm going to talk a lot, then I need to change this so it's more clear and it's something that's a little bit more attractive. And I think the American accent is a good balance. And yeah, I was just able to manipulate my accent to come to where it is now. And this has become my natural sort of way of talking English. When are the rate cuts? Well, currently there's a high chance that we don't get rate cuts in December. That would mean Q1 of 2026 most likely if we don't get rate cuts in December. Actually, also, I quite like Robin Williams too. May he rest in peace. Robin Williams was an awesome actor. Only funny word you say is bottom. Well, how would you say it? Well, I guess you can't really because you're in the chat, but it's heavily enunciated. I get what you mean, yeah. Bottom. Yeah, bottom. I can do bottom instead of bottom. Yeah, bottom. What happens in a bear market? Are there still highs and lows? Well, okay, in a bear market, you sort of go down a lot, and then you get a trap, and then you go down even more, and then there's like consolidation at lows for a long period of time, and everybody's depressed, and then you slowly start going back to the upside. That's bear markets in a nutshell, and we're at the first part of that. Wait, is today Black Friday? Is it? I don't know. Well, for Bitcoin it is. What do you think will happen to Bitcoin if the US enters a recession and the S&P experiences a significant crash? It would also crash. Bitcoin is very much correlated to the S&P. Ah, it's next week. Okay. Makes sense. If you were in a stable job like me with decent income, would you be DCing into alts? I would be DCing into Bitcoin personally. Alts, I would wait, dude. I think Bitcoin makes sense personally. Nikhil says, please CK, can we have a Google Meet these days? Well, what we can do is you can ask any question you wish and I can answer it right now live. I'll be live for another 2 minutes and then I'll make a video as well because I know most people don't want to watch live, but they want to watch videos. Let's check Bitcoin. Bitcoin is still chilling at 84. Chilling at 84K. Nothing too special. What's the highest leverage you usually use? I don't go more than 10x these days. Shout out to my aunt in the chat. Favorite actress. Favorite actress? Well, I would say Emma Watson, but she doesn't do acting anymore. I had a bit of a crush on Emma Watson. My aunt knows. Yeah, Benjamin Cohen is very, very bearish. Well, we made a video with Benjamin Cohen and we predicted the crash and people were very upset. But it is what it is. Well, guys, if you want a long or short, then if you want and support the channel, you can go to the description down below. Weeks is giving a phenomenal amount of bonuses. So you can sign up to Weeks with the first link. You have Pinex, Coinflow, and Bybit too. So if you want to trade, then you can use the links down below to get the best bonuses available, and also give a kickback to the channel. And thank you so much for subscribing. I can see we're at 60,100 subscribers now. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you guys so much. If you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe for daily content here on the Crypto Kid channel. Crypto Kid, you were saying before that the altcoin season will be Q1 2026. Do you think that will be with rate cuts? Well, okay, I said Q1, but I'm sort of looking at the probabilities of rate cuts now. It looks more like Q3 2026 instead of Q1. Do you know any billionaires? I am very grateful to know a couple of billionaires. I think I know about 6 or 7. And all of the ones that I know are incredibly humble, humble people, very humble people, great people, done great things. And billionaires appreciate people that work hard because they see themselves. So all that matters is you're doing something that's noble, and you're doing something that's cool, and you're putting a lot of hard work into it, and people respect you. That's sort of how it works. So make sure you find something you love, find something cool, noble, work a lot, put a lot of hard work into it, and good things will come. All right, guys, last 30 seconds before ending the show. I'm looking at your headphones. Are they biodynamic? Yes, these are the DT700 Pro X's. They are biodynamic. Well, okay, so this cycle taught everyone not to buy alts anymore. Yes, but the thing is, it's not about this. Like, Bitcoin follows the cycles, but altcoins follow liquidity more than Bitcoin does. Altcoins are more sensitive to liquidity. I mean, Bitcoin is already sensitive, but altcoins are like extra sensitive to liquidity. I didn't go to school in the UK. I went to school here in Dubai, but it was a UK. I mean, it was a British curriculum. All right, guys, I think that's a wrap. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make I'm going to do a video now for the people that don't want to watch live, because that's also a group of people that we need to cater for. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in live. I appreciate every single one of you. We'll do more live streams in the future here on this channel. So subscribe, stay tuned, and I'll see you all on the video updates that I'm going to be publishing quite soon. So guys, take care. And as always, bye-bye.